All right. So it's literally, let's see what time it is. It is currently 12:20 a.m. So it's midnight pretty much. And there we go. I just wanted to open up the camera app again. But I just came back from dropping off my closest friend, my true only closest friend, at his house. We kind of just went out for some shits and giggles, whatever that means. He had a 12-hour shift at his job, and today's my day off from work. And all I really did today was just kind of go on practically a 5 mile walk, which is about like 10 to 12,000 steps. And I wanted to go to the gym too, but it was already like 10 p.m. and something silly had kind of occurred that I was just kind of like, you know what? I don't know if I really want to go to the gym. And I had hit my friend up to kind of talk about it. And so we went out because he wanted some things to talk about too. So we were like, yo, let's just chill, go out. We went to a spot by our crib and got some milkshakes. Honestly, I think the milkshake kind of messed up. I think the milkshake kind of messed up my stomach a little bit. And this morning when I woke up, my stomach wasn't feeling the best. So it was definitely a very questionable choice to have that milkshake. I probably shouldn't have, but we're here now, so we'll make it through. We'll be okay. Um, but he was telling me that one of his coworkers. So I'm 23 years old. My friend, he's 24 years old, and his coworker is 22 years old. And the reason I bring that up is because he himself was telling me that for his age, he feels quite old. And funnily enough, actually, before I say that, his coworker, who's 22 years old, she's got a she's got some things going on in her life, just as all of us do. And she also said that she also feels old for her age. And, he told me that for her, she's lived like a lot of lives in one life. And I also kind of feel that way, but he told me that he feels old, and I kind of laughed, and I was like, I mean, like, because at the start of the conversation, before we had mentioned that he feels old and his coworker feels old, we were kind of just talking about like just our age. I'm 23 years old. I turned 24 in August, um, and whenever I've had conversations about like age in terms of like how old I am, some people will be like, "Oh man, like you're like reaching unk status or something like that," which I think is funny. I don't know. Like obviously, I'm once I turn 24, I'll be just 6 years away from turning 30, and at the age that I am right now, 23, especially like my 23rd year, I would say has been probably the year of my own like evolution in some sort of way. And it's kind of interesting. Man, there's so many different things that I kind of want to talk about. Especially like one of the things I want to talk about is dreams, because I feel like dreams, although they can be very peculiar at times in terms of the context that happen, something that I would probably encourage anybody to do. If you can recall any of your dreams, try to investigate them. Especially now in the day of AI and ChatGPT, if you plug in your dreams into ChatGPT, especially if you've provided ChatGPT a bit more of context of yourself and like what's kind of going on in your life and different things like that. ChatGPT, interestingly enough, can sort of break down the information that you provide of yourself and the dreams that you tell ChatGPT about, and be like, oh, your dream could be pointing to this. It's not a guarantee, but I still find interest in what ChatGPT says, because I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And one of the things, a very common theme in my dreams is school. Um, Funnily enough, the dream that I'll have occasionally takes place in the high school that I went to. And sometimes I'm in classes. Sometimes in the classes I recognize a few people that I know in like my real life. And then in other cases, sometimes there's people that I feel like I've never seen before, but also had a sense of familiarity. Um, and a while ago, I would say probably a few years ago, I was having dreams of me in school, but that I was late, that I was failing classes or something like that. That I was late to a class. That I would skip a certain class because I'd be like, oh, I don't want to take that class. like or whatever. But interestingly enough, lately I feel like in the dreams that I've been having around school, there's like one class in particular that I don't know what the subject is, but it feels like that one's the one that I'm waiting for, like in terms of like, oh, all these other classes I'm kind of excelling in. Like I literally had a dream this morning. I had a few dreams this morning that were kind of, oh, there was a really strange one that I had that felt very vulnerable. I'll just say that. Nothing crazy, nothing like out of this world, like in terms of intimacy, but it was kind of vulnerable. I was like, what the heck? And it was kind of like in a public setting. But ChatGPT gave me like a pretty interesting breakdown of what that dream could have meant. And then the dreams in school, I never really thought that the dreams in school really symbolized anything of any significance. I kind of just thought like my mind or something like that just was referring back to school. But thinking about what school is supposed to represent, it represents like an education. It represents knowledge. It represents learning, right? And so these dreams, I realize my life, this lifetime that I'm living, is really sort of like me excelling or eventually getting to the point of excelling in what I'm studying. And as someone myself, as someone as myself, right? Um, I didn't. I dropped out of college. I did 2 years at a university, and it was during the pandemic time, so things were like taking place online. At least like the first semester I got to do in person, and then the second semester I got to do that in person for like the first few weeks, and then that's when everything kind of just shut down and everything went online. And when everything went online, I was just like I was already like an undeclared student, so I was just kind of like it just completely took out like any sort of drive, like the little drive that I had of being interested in pursuing a degree or eventually figuring out what I wanted to pursue as my major, like in college and university. Once everything went online, it just kind of disappeared. Like I didn't feel it didn't feel real. So then when I decided eventually to make my way back to school at a community college, um, I spent 2 years at that community college, and there was only just a few classes that I could say like really kind of pulled me in, but it was nothing that I felt like I could really make a career out of eventually. So I felt like during those times I was having the dreams of like me like failing or me missing classes, or not even actually. I feel like those dreams are kind of happening kind of like as of like recent, like even just like maybe like a year ago or something like that. I don't know. And now out of nowhere, I wouldn't say out of nowhere, but it kind of makes sense. Like now that I'm having these dreams of me excelling in classes and still missing just one class, it's like I still have something else to learn. I still have uh, a part of the curriculum I'm still not excelling in, but I'm excelling in these other ones, and it makes sense. It makes sense just kind of connecting those dreams to my day-to-day life as of late, because I've really have been excelling in terms of just my own well-being, if that makes any sense. Not just my physical well-being, but my mental well-being, in the sense of like me coming out and doing these videos. And one of the things that I want to talk about in this video, which I would like to expand on in more videos later down the road, which is honestly what I've been doing with these videos that I'm recording. I'm sort of just expanding on this sort of the same stuff, but over and over again. And I think it's important. This one in particular, I feel like is very important. I low-key should have left the car on with the fan on, because the bright light that I have on, I feel like is making me kind of warm. And it's also like, it's a little warm out. It's not too cold, but it's definitely like on the warmer side. Like it says it's 60 degrees outside right now. So whatever. The point is, I was talking to myself earlier in a voice memo. I used to kind of I used to like sending audio messages to people on iMessage, and I would just kind of like, sometimes it would be a girl that I'd be talking to, if she was down to like have lengthy audios. It wasn't all of them. Some people just aren't really into that, which is okay. Like I'm not asking of any of those people back then to like listen to my audios and tell me what you think. But I would just like the feeling of just kind of talking out loud and saying whatever it was, even if it was just some random stuff. I would just like to do it, but it never really felt like it was random stuff. It was kind of things that I felt like I genuinely liked to talk about. And eventually it kind of came down. There was a few times where I would try to record voice memos, but I'd just be like, oh, I don't know, like it kind of feels nicer when I feel like I'm actually talking to somebody. But then what I would realize is that even if I got to send the voice memo or the audio message really to somebody, it's like this doesn't really concern them. It kind of sometimes it would be conversation stuff, but sometimes it would just be like me just talking, and I didn't realize it during those times that a lot of the things that I was saying were more so things that I really should have been talking to myself about. Or if not to myself, then somebody that like I should have been talking about those things to somebody who would have actually like, you know, like a therapist or something like that. Like they would have been able to take everything I'm saying and provide actual feedback or whatever, like they would actually be receptive to hearing me out and hearing about what I want to talk about and things like that. Um I've never had a therapist, and I don't want to say like what I'm going to say now should replace therapy. Like always pursue professional assistance if you're able to, and if you feel like it would genuinely support you, and 1000% a therapist would definitely give you that kind of support. There's many different therapists out there. 1000%, there's many different ones. And if you're seeking for professional help, make sure that like you find a therapist that you can trust and rely on, and that you feel good about. But I digress. What I really want to talk about here is something that I've been doing for myself. And I haven't journaled in my actual physical journal in a little while, but what I have done is I've done these sort of audio journals, and even these videos I consider as a form of journaling, but more public. And I kind of thought to myself earlier, like, what am I really doing by publishing these videos? I feel like maybe sometimes these things are things that I could maybe keep private. But also I feel like maybe some of the things I say can land and really impact other people out there. I would hope that these videos eventually reach a larger audience per se, but not for the sake of like, oh, I want my own audience, or I want this or that. And I know I've mentioned it in the video, but I think the very first video I did, or second or third video, I kind of talked about how I was kind of interested in like audiences and stuff like that. But I think I just said that not for the interest of like wanting one, but just for the sake of like that I feel natural in that kind of setting. Like one of the classes that I really enjoyed taking when I was at a community college was public speaking. I took a public speaking class in like my second year. It might have been the last semester that I had at that community college. And if it wasn't the last one, it was the second to last one. So it was in the beginning of my second year, I think. And when I took that class, there was something that felt natural about being in front of people and just giving a speech about whatever it was that I came into class sort of prepared to talk about. I never really prepared a speech in the sense of like, because sometimes the professor would be like, oh, like stand in front of a mirror, or go to the class, like go to a class, an empty classroom, and practice the speech you wrote like out loud, and then that'll be your way of like practicing or whatever, right? But when it came to speeches, I never particularly like had like a written script. I never really had a script. I just sort of had an idea, and maybe like the starting sentence or something like that. At most, maybe a starting sentence or two. At most, probably just a starting few words, and then I would just kind of freestyle whatever came up afterwards. That's how I would initiate it. So I think that's why I have this channel, because I'm kind of treating this as if I'm like in a public setting, because I'm posting these out publicly. Anybody that finds them can watch them and take away what they take away from it. But I do think that in these videos that I have some valuable things to say that I feel like can really help out people. So let me see how long I've been recording this one, just to have like a kind of idea. I'm already 14 minutes in. Oof. I definitely got to figure out a way to kind of boil down the message that I want to get to, so I don't make these videos last as long as they are. But yeah, one thing that I really found helpful for me is genuinely these audio messages that I record for myself. So it's really just voice memos. It's like an audio journal. Journaling is also really important. So if you feel like you can't speak aloud about what you're feeling or what you're thinking, what you're trying to process, journal those things. Journal those things and write them down, you know? Or if you feel like you can't journal them, do what I'm doing. Like, just record a video of yourself talking, or if it's not a video, record a voice memo, right? So, for instance, earlier today, when I went on my walk before I hung out with my friend, I literally was outside walking around, and I would kind of wait until I was in the area that I was walking around the neighborhood, a lot of cars driving by, a lot of random noise, but if there was nobody around, I would just continue my voice memo. I didn't stop it. I just let the voice memo go and go and go, and then I would just speak and then just say whatever it was that I'm processing, and it would feel good. Now, the thing is, I realized that it's not an easy thing to do, because we are, in fact, our harshest critics, Like, no one is a harder or like a harsher critic on anybody more than themselves, Like, there could be harsh critics on any topic, on any person, but we, for ourselves, are our hardest or harshest critics, I mean. So it's not an easy thing to do, but if you give yourself that sort of space and tell yourself it's okay, you have to acknowledge, I wouldn't say you have to, you should really consider acknowledging everything you can about yourself, the good things, the not so maybe good things, whatever that looks like for you. Because I mean, that's all, subjective. It's like, it's whatever you think. I think that's the one, subjective. I think that's the one where it's like more like what you think and not like a whole thing. I think, right? Objective is like, I don't know. I'll figure out what it really is, and then I'll come back to this video, or I'll make another video talking about this again, because I'm already like 14 minutes in of me just yapping about other stuff. A little questionable. But whatever. The point is, since we are our own harshest critics, it's not an easy thing to do, to journal. It's not an easy thing to journal about yourself. It's not an easy thing to do these voice memos about yourself. But I'd be an advocate for sure for being able to reflect yourself towards you in a way, and try not to do it from a place that's so judgmental. And I know that can be hard, because I mean, even there's things like me that I look at, certain habits, certain vices, or certain things that I do that I'm just kind of like, oh man, like I wish I just did that better. But give yourself that space, give yourself that grace to just be able to kind of like, okay, like, it's difficult and I really wish it was different, but at least be aware that is who you are, in a sense. Like, for instance, when I was overindulging in nicotine sticks, I needed to really just be aware and not be so negligent to understanding and being aware that I was overindulging in nicotine sticks. And it wasn't an easy thing to do, because I didn't want to admit to myself that I had a problem, and that problem was sort of even taking form as like a physical thing. Like, I was having some stomach issues for a little while. And like for 2 days in a month, I just literally, like, not 2 days consecutively, but 2 days, like, one here in 1 week and then another day in like 2 weeks or whatever. Like, I was having some stomach problems, and I could just tell, like, oh yeah, this overindulgence in nicotine sticks is having my stomach just kind of go in a spiral. Like, I feel a little sick. Like, it had me, I think I had to call out of work one time because of it. So just be honest with yourself about certain things. I'm not saying like be honest with yourself, like, and point out all the things or whatever, but just be aware and make yourself aware. And if you feel like you're inclined to change something, the more that you kind of get used to these audio journals or physical, like, written down journals, you'll sort of realize that you can change something. You can change it. Like, you can alchemize something into a better thing. For instance, I alchemized my overindulgence of nicotine into me having a wooden toothpick, so I could just like have it to fidget with in my mouth, like how I'm doing right now. So you can alchemize your like whatever situation you think is sort of weighing you down. There's a way to alchemize it for sure. You can do it. Like if I was able to take a oh, I just flung my chapstick, my wooden toothpick. If I was able to alchemize a nicotine stick into this, um, there are addictions you can for sure alchemize into something that's like not so harmful, or uh, maybe just a better way to kind of enjoy your life, you know? So I think that's pretty much it. 20-minute video. I definitely want to find ways to make these videos. This is going to be the outro section of this video. And also, let me know what you think. If there's anything I said in here that resonated with you, or if you're thinking the same, or if you're trying to understand something, let me know in the comments, and I'll definitely respond. I'm always curious, like if these videos, sorry, I'm almost a spit. If these videos ever reach an audience, or ever reach people, or anybody in general, let me know what you people think in the comments, and I would love to see what everybody says, or what anyone says, and I'll respond, and we can talk about these things. And if there's a certain thing that you want me to talk about, I'll try my best to make a video about it. And I want to get better at sort of kind of like nailing down a certain topic, so I don't expand and give you. I think it's necessary sometimes to kind of give you the context of why I'm sort of thinking these things, and like how I got to think about this, just so you can kind of understand, like it didn't come out of nowhere. It almost looked like a figure was standing over there, and that kind of freaked me out. It is midnight, and I'm parked in a forest, so anything could really happen out here. So yeah, that's about it. Let me know what you think. Now, go enjoy your life, and I really do mean that. That's it.